Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Monica Gibson and today I'm joined in the studio by Bruno Estier, who's an independent market strategist. Bruno, thank you very much for coming in today.
Nice to meet you.
Now you've got several years financial experience, but when was it that technical research really took importance to you, and why do you think it's so important?
Well, it came by chance. In 1987, after the crash, I got a call from a former boss, as I was working for JP Morgan in Zurich, who asked me if I wanted to become a technical analyst. And I said, well, maybe you want to have somebody who has more experience than me. And he said, no, I want somebody who has not gone through the crash of 1987. And I did not understand why. But I accepted the job, so I was sent to Paris, and I had to become there the expert on technical analysis. Why is it important? I think it reflects basically the offer and demand. It reflects all the expectations of the market at a certain point of time by the people who have taken views, by taking position in the market, and therefore it allows to have an idea where the people have probably taken position and where they are going, how they are going to manage their position. We believe, of course, as technical analysts, that there are autocorrelation. That means that there are trends, means that the price of yesterday and the day before are influencing also the price of tomorrow, contrary to the finance theory.
Now we're going to do some technical analysis ourselves. We are going to look at the Nikkei. Now, obviously, there's a lot of attention on the Nikkei at the moment. We're looking, especially with the G20 meeting this week, investors are waiting to see whether there will be criticism on the Japanese policies and how it's affecting stocks. If we look at the quarterly outlook for the Nikkei, first of all, can you talk us through it, please, and what the charts are telling you?
Sure. The charts are not going to tell you if there are going to be criticism or not, but what we can see is that basically from 1983 to now, we have, after a major top in 1989, around 39,000, we had a so-called decline. A decline is made of different things. Usually people see lower highs, but technicians request also lower lows to define a downtrend. And that's basically what we have for 20 years. The interesting thing is that since 2008, we have made a higher low first, around 8,000. And recently, in November of last year, November, December, we broke through the previous highs, which was 11,000. Now we have, in addition, a tool, a technical tool in this chart, which is a kind of a cloud. This cloud chart is a Japanese techniques. And this Japanese techniques is here on the chart painted in green when the market was in the 80s relatively bullish. And you see that the charts are crossing that cloud. And since 1996, the prices have moved but have remained below the cloud. And even the cloud has changed color, becoming a red cloud or a pink cloud. And it has capped basically all the different attempt to break through to new highs. Currently, we are just below this very long-term cloud, this quarterly cloud, around 13,300. So that what is a cloud? This cloud is a ceiling, if you wish. So it means that possibly market makers are going to, or long-term investors are going to consider that there are some chance that the Nikkei might stop there. Similarly, as it did, for example, in 2007. You see that these are not exact precision like a Swiss watch. Sometimes you go a little bit into the clouds, but you basically do not go through it. That's basically what this tool is used for. It gives you an idea where you are on this very long-term time frame. Of course, when you look at the quarterly charts, what you need to know is you have to wait for the end of the quarter. You don't want to end for the end of the quarter because you might not have a job anymore if you cannot give a better precise answer. therefore we'll like to know probably what is on the monthly charts.
Okay, so if we look at the monthly chart then, what is this telling us?
The monthly chart is jaggy and full of lines and very complicated.
It does it looks quite angry to me.
It looks very angry to you. But one thing, if we just focus on the clouds, if we remember that was the pink thing, right? And we notice that the price above 12,600 was able to move above it last month, namely after the end of the first quarter. So if we are above that cloud, that means we now have a floor below us. So it is a kind of a protection, if you wish. So we are between, on a monthly basis, a protection with a floor at 12,600, and kind of a ceiling at 14,000. The question is, why are we still bullish? Okay, why there is still some potential? The short-term momentum presently is probably going to carry over. In technical analysis, we say when you have a trend, the trend is your friend. So as long as it is not reversed, we are going to trust the uptrend, the current uptrend, which is the most recent thing since November or even July 2012. And we are going to accept that this momentum can carry on. Where do we want to change opinions? Well, when one of the two parameters is broken, because we are long or because we suggest that there is an uptrend, we are going to focus on the parameters of the floor, namely 12,600. As long as we remain above 12,600, we consider that it can move up further. And we have seen that the cloud on the quarterly side was relatively wide, so it can move up probably towards 16,000, and later on probably to the old high that we have here also are at 18,300.
Very interesting. So the trend is your friend. I like that. I do like that. Now, Bruno, thank you very much for your insights. It makes it nicer when you walk through it with us. Before we go, we're going to ask you to take part in our Dukascopy question. Very interesting. Now, the Dukascopy question, it's where we ask you if you had $1 million US to invest for 1 year, where would you choose to place them? If we look at our options, we have real estate, equity, bonds, gold, cash or oil. So Bruno, $1 million US for 1 year, which instrument would you choose to invest in?
Currently, I think the safest place on a 1 year time horizon is to enter gold, because it has already made a huge correction.
Gold, you say? Okay, very interesting.
Gold is, and this opinion is probably going to be correct as long as we remain above the level of 1,000. We are currently just close to 1,300, and it has moved through a very obvious level, 1,550. It has triggered a lot of emotions, a huge movement very recently. It's not going to move back up so quickly, but it's going probably to build a base between 1,300 and 1,200. And if it builds a base, because the very long-term chart on since 1999 is on the upside, we are coming from 400, something like that. Because the trend is my friend, it's probably, after such a big correction, a nice entry point. The other asset classes that you proposed have a few problems down the road in the next 12 months. Therefore, that's the one I'm going to select for a reward of back to 1,900. And my risk is going to be 200 or 300 points at most, down to 1,000.
Bruno, thank you so much for coming in today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you. Well, that's all from Bruno and myself. Please do click back to Dukascopy TV for technical and fundamental analysis. Bye for now.